You feel like you aced that interview, and they told you that they'd get back to you, but they still haven't, and now they're late. Why haven't they called you back? I'm Jonathan Lee for The Talk Shop, and I'm no mind reader, but what I'm going to do today is give you the 4 most likely reasons why you haven't heard back yet. And also, we're going to give you a tip on how to take action to make sure that you maximize your chances of getting that call back. Ready? Then let's talk shop. The first and actually most common reason is that the process is just taking longer than expected. I've been on both sides of this. I've been the candidate and also the interviewer. And I can tell you that in a lot of cases, there's a lot of bureaucracy and also internal change that can cause a timeline to be pushed out. For an example, in one of the previous companies that I worked, it took over a year to fill an open position for someone, and during that whole period, the company was actively recruiting. So a week to an employer might not seem as long as it might seem to you right now. And normal processes and bureaucracy aside, there's actually a lot of things that could throw a wrench in the process. For example, if a new candidate comes forward and they need to interview that candidate before making a final decision, maybe the hiring manager actually gets really busy and needs to put out a bunch of fires before they can come back to this issue. Or maybe the scope of the role itself just changed and they're in the process of reassessing different candidates. The second reason is simply that the company needs more time to put together an offer, and they're just working out the details of that offer. Obviously, this is a good thing, and you'll just need some patience to wait through it. Now, this may only be the case when you're at a final round interview, but you can still take away this general principle if you're in earlier rounds. For example, if you're waiting back to hear for the next round of interviews, they may be just taking the time to iron out details and figure out logistics and timing. The third reason is that you're their plan B. In other words, there's one or more candidates ahead of you in their list of preferences, and they want to send out an offer to that person or those people before they consider sending an offer to you. Just as companies have multiple candidates that are vying for a certain position, in a lot of instances, a candidate is interviewing at multiple companies, and they may actually be receiving or waiting on offers simultaneously. And so companies are aware of this. They understand that they need to have a list of candidates in a lot of situations. They may be on purpose, intentionally holding back your response so that they can wait for the candidates that are above you in the pecking order. And if those candidates don't accept, this role may actually fall to you, and you may get that call for the job. In this case, of course, it's almost certain that your timeline is going to extend beyond the timeline that you were given. But think positive and hang in there, because if this is the situation for you, at least you have a decent shot at getting that role. The fourth reason why you haven't heard back yet is simply that you've been ghosted. And unfortunately, this is the case for a lot of companies. You didn't get the job, but the company didn't fulfill their promise and follow up on you. And so you're just left there wondering for a very long time whether you got the role, whether they're late. And in these instances, it really rubs me the wrong way. Not just because I've been on the receiving end of this treatment, but also because when I think about companies that respect their employees, respect their customers, and respect people as humans, they will understand that taking the time to invest in an interview process is a big commitment for a lot of interviewees. And those candidates could be looking at this job, or they could be looking at a lot of other jobs. So the opportunity cost is significant. To ghost someone who put in so much effort into an application is simply not respectful. And although it's unfortunate in this case that you didn't get the job, you should actually count yourself lucky that you didn't move forward with a company that doesn't display those basic values. And I know I said I'm going to give you 4 reasons, but I'm actually going to give you a bonus 5th reason. And the reason for that is it's pretty short, pretty sweet, but believe me, this has tripped me up multiple times, and chances are, if it hasn't tripped you up, it will in the future. Check your junk email. Even reputable companies sometimes fall into your email filter, and that could be an invitation to a next round of an interview, or it could be an email asking you to call them because they're going to give you the offer. In any case, Just make sure that you check that once on a regular basis and then forget about it. But make sure that you do check. So now that we've covered the main reasons why you may not have heard back from your interviewer and you understand why, the question is, how do you actually increase your chances of getting the next round or getting that offer? I'm going to give you a template that you can use to follow up with your interviewer. One note here, make sure that you keep the tone light and friendly and devoid of any pressure. That's the last thing that you want to give the interviewer at this stage. So here's the template that you can use. Hi, first name of your interviewer. Hope you're well. I wanted to follow up on my interview for the role, which is whatever role that you're interviewing for a time period ago. So however long ago that you interviewed. I'd like to reiterate my strong interest in the role, especially given and here you want to put any specific details that you discussed that can really get you excited about the role, that we discussed during the interview. I left the interview more confident in my ability to succeed in this role than ever, and more interested than ever. I'm very much looking forward to hearing from the company about the role. In the meantime, if you need anything from me, please don't hesitate to reach out. Cheers or thanks, your name. Remember to ease up on the pressure in this message. In these instances, I totally understand that the urge is to do something that you feel like you have control over. But inherently, this situation is one in which you do not have control. The purpose of this is simply to prod and check up on the timeline to see if that has changed, and also to express to your interviewer that you remain very interested and you're eagerly awaiting their update. Often, I've had hiring managers respond back to me when I use this template, apologizing for a delay, explaining what's going on, or maybe even giving me an updated rough timeline. Those are all great signs because they're strong indicators that the hiring manager and the company is actually quite interested in you as a candidate, and they simply want to do their due diligence or they're working through some kinks, but they want you to stay informed and to stay engaged with them. But even if they don't get back to you, take it as a neutral sign. A lot of preferences for hiring managers and companies are to actually maintain radio silence until they can give you something concrete that they can sign off on. And so before that, they may not be interested in updating you on all the ins and outs of what's going on, but you shouldn't let that worry you. As long as you follow up a few days after the assumed deadline that interviewer told you, you should feel covered. And if a few days later you still haven't heard back, feel free to reach out a second time to follow up. I would keep it to only those 2 follow-ups as a personal preference. That wraps up our list of reasons why you may not have heard back from your interview. And also, we've given you a quick tip on how you can follow up to make sure that you maximize your chances. If this video helped in any way, give it a like. And if you have any interesting, good or bad stories about not hearing back from interviewers, feel free to comment below. I love to read it, and I love to hear about what happened in your case. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want more job search tips and tricks. And thanks again for watching. We'll see you soon.